Hello and welcome to the Whitney Reynolds Show. Today we are meeting people who are all for change. Join us as we learn what they are doing to leave the world better than they found it. Here we believe your story matters.
Whatever the story is behind those scars, I think it's beautiful.
I was that story, the one that needed a safe space.
We can build a stage, speak life back into this community.
So we created it.
From this moment on, everything has changed.
Just treat housing as a human right.
When I was, I think, 15 months old, my mom adopted me.
I've been transitioning for 3.5 years, and I'm nowhere near being close to where I want to be.
I'm Janet Singer Applefield, a Holocaust survivor. I was born in Krakow, Poland, when the Nazis invaded Poland. My parents made desperate attempts to escape, and many times they tried, but they were unsuccessful. My identity was changed several times because it was safer not to be Jewish, obviously. I didn't quite understand why I had to keep changing my names and why I had to become another person. I felt that some very dangerous thing was happening because I saw my parents crying and people whispering because they didn't want me to know what was going on. They made this agonizing decision to give me away to strangers. So for the next 3.5 years, I was with different people and in very different situations. And some of the people were kind and good to me, and others were not so good. My life was very difficult. I had to hide in plain sight. At one point, I was left on the street, abandoned. Miraculously, my father found me in an orphanage. Courageous people picked me off the street and saved me. I was reluctant to ask my father questions because I knew I didn't want to upset him because I knew that he had gone through such a horrific time. So I didn't ask questions, and I wish I had. And but I remember when the war ended and I was reunited with my father, he insisted that I tell him what happened, and he wrote it down. And years later, when I decided to make the first trip back to Poland, just very accidentally, I found these papers that he had scribbled on. I think that was the beginning of my desire to write my memoir. You know, I felt it was something that I needed to do. It's so important to be mindful of the types of choices and decisions that we make, because even the smallest act of kindness has a ripple effect. I am a witness of history. I'm the voice for all those voices that were so tragically silenced. All these stories are so important for the world to know. And I know when I'm no longer here, I know that my legacy will continue because my children, my grandchildren, and people who have heard my story will continue to tell it.
The loss of life impacted by bullying. That's the headline that helped this author find purpose and start a healing process for the Cincinnati community.
There was a time I was watching the news one morning, and there was a program about a boy, a local boy, who was bullied at school, and he was only 8 years old, and he took his own life. And in that moment, you know, I'm sure as a parent, you think, well, what can I do? What little things could I do, or what big things can I do to help this problem? And I love to write. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe I can turn this into something educational, a teaching moment to help kids be kinder.
Tracy is an author I got to know through my nightly readings with my own twins. Her books shared messages that turned into nightly teaching moments. Something as a mom helped introduce big concepts to my littles, never knowing the One Big Bully book was inspired by a real-life tragedy.
There once was a creature named Bully the Bull who made fun of others to try to be cool. He made fun of their horns, he made fun of their walk, he even made fun of how they would talk. But each time his words brought tears to their eyes, his average bull horns would grow larger in size.